Welcome back to the Fight Society podcast. I'm your host, Damon Martin. We're kind of having a reunion show today because since the podcast changed names and people have been unavailable and traveling and fighting and all kinds of other crazy stuff, we were finally getting the band back together, myself, and welcome back to the show, Matt Brown and Jeremy Loper. It's like the band is back together again.
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Yeah, it feels good to be back, huh?
You guys said you didn't want anything more to do with me. You didn't want to do the podcast. I said, all right, I guess I'll have to go at it alone. So, I went forward. I was sad about that, but I moved forward.
I said, that's it.
I was just waiting till after the election. I can't talk to Hillary supporters right now.
Matt's currently wearing his Trump t-shirt, so
you know that's not true.
I do know that's not true. That's not true.
We just got to be clear and keep things in line here.
Everybody knows that's not true. He's got a hat. Come on.
Yeah, he's got the Make America Great Again hat on. So,
make America grab pussy again.
Apparently that we never stopped. Apparently we are first in grabbing pussy. I'm not sure where we come and trade and all this other business that everybody's talking about, or maybe lack thereof. But yeah, we are grabbing pussy like no one else on the planet. Damon Martin, I'm so glad to be back here on the podcast. It's interesting. We searched for how long did we search, Matt, for a great name for the podcast? We were like, hey, the Great MMA Debate, pretty good, but maybe we could do better. The moment we leave the show, Damon gets the greatest podcast name I've ever heard in my life, Fight Society, and goes on his own, man.
Yeah, what was that all about, Damon?
Yeah, Loper.
It's a good name, man.
Loper was giving me hell about that the other day. He's like, "What's up with that?" We stopped doing the podcast, and all of a sudden you come up with the perfect name. I was like, "I don't know, it just kind of came to me." So yeah, Fight Society is where it's at now. So
excellent.
All right, man. Well, I'm ready, man. I think somebody's got a fight coming up, actually.
Yeah, Matt, your fight is booked, official.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm ready to do it today, man. Yeah, let's go fight. I'm ready.
So you got Tarec Saffiedine December 30th. You're on the card with Ronda Rousey headlining against Amanda Nunes, and I think the rumors are out there now. Dominic Cruz is going to fight Cody Garbrandt. Big moment for you. What's what kind of walk us through this fight coming about? Because I know after the Ellenberger fight, you'd said a couple of times you're thinking about taking some time off and things like that. So kind of walk me through how this fight came together.
Yeah, I just felt like I had taken enough time off. I just wanted to let my brain recover. Like I think I said to you, this was the first time I ever got dropped in my life. In that last fight, from a headshot, I've been dropped with body shots. Obviously, everybody likes to talk shit about that, but first time I've ever been dropped in my life, including in sparring and everything. So I figured, hey, let's learn from everybody else's mistakes, and let's take the extra time. I started doing a ketogenic diet, which is known to help brain function, and there's a lot of research going into it helping traumatic brain injury, and I do think it helped. I'm absolutely a believer now. I wasn't actually a believer before, man. I remember Kyle Kingsbury talking about it a few years ago, and I was like, there's no way that this could work. This is a horrible idea. And then when I read about it helping out TBI, I thought, man, okay, I'll give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? And man, it's changed my life. So for the better in a lot of ways. On top of that, just being able to be home and got my kids started in school and was able to, spend a little bit more time with the family and get things just feeling good again and just feeling happy about life and excited to get back in the gym and train. And so now, yeah, all is good now and ready to, I had to get over some injuries too. That was a big thing. I had surgery last year on my hand, and I probably shouldn't have came back as quickly as I did against Damian Maia. And then even, right after Damian Maia, I had a quick turnaround with Ellenberger. And I just wanted to pause for a little bit. Let's get these things out of the way, not have any distractions coming into camp, and that's where I'm at now. And I think I'm ready this time. I don't think I was ready before, but I'm the type that I don't have to be ready to go fight somebody, So hopefully this time I'll be better prepared.
I know what a ketogenic diet is. I've heard Brendan Schaub has raved about it for years. I know he's a big fan of that. But for people that don't know, what is the ketogenic diet? For people that don't know.
Oh my God! Here we go. Here we go. It's all I heard about when I was in Denver. All right, here we go. This is everything you can't eat ever. All right, here we go.
Well, you can eat a lot more than you think, actually. But very high fat, very low carb, almost no carb. I believe it's around 80% fat, 20%, 80% fat. I think 5% protein, or 5% carbs, and 15% protein. So basically what it does is it puts your body. So when you stop using glucose as your primary fuel, which goes against every sports performance nutrition book you ever read, which is why I never really believed in it. But when your body stops using glucose as fuel, it starts your liver starts using free fatty acids and converting them to what they call ketones, which is where the word ketogenic comes from, and being in the state of ketosis. So basically what you're doing is teaching your body to use fat as fuel. The brain loves the ketones. It has a lot of positive things. The way I look at it is sort of, if you look at it like sort of a paleo sense, this is sort of the way that, another way, before I get to that, another way to get into ketosis is through fasting. And this is the way that our bodies have evolved to perform. And if you look at, history up until the last, 100, 200 years, it was our lives were feast and famine, right? Like, you go on a hunt, or, you have your harvest, whatever, and you're feasting. And then at some point, at the end of winter, when you're out of food, or, when you have to start rationing on long hunts, whatever, now you're in a famine. So our body's naturally adapted to this state. And that's just something I believe in. And I didn't really believe in it before I did the diet, but like I said, I could go on all day about it, man. It's really done a lot of positive things, and there's research out there with it. It started as a thing. It started off as a cure for epilepsy. It completely cured about 15 to 20% of patients, and mainly kids. But then now they're looking at, Dom D'Agostino is doing a lot of research on it, curing cancer, because they're saying cancer cells can't survive without glucose. Like I said, the TBI, they're finding research on that, helping concussions. And so, there's a guy I just listened to a couple of days ago. I can't remember his name, but he was over 400 pounds and lost 200 pounds on the diet. He's somewhere in
the really 200 pounds, huh?
Yeah, he's somewhere in the mid 100s now on from the ketogenic diet. And he's not he didn't go to the gym and kill himself every day. I mean, he just ate right, or ate differently, I should say. There's a lot of different versions of right. So I could go on all day about it, and I think there's a reason why people like Schaub or Kingsbury, when they do it, they do rave about it all the time. I'm one of them kind of annoying people that doesn't shut up about it too. So
what do you eat on the diet? Like what is like a typical meal plan for you?
So the recipe book that I bought is called Bacon and Butter,
which sounds delicious, by the way.
It is delicious, right? That's the great thing about this diet. Is I eat so many great fucking things, man. But I eat a lot. Basically, anything high fat. So the heavy whipping cream is a staple. Sour cream, cheeses, all that. From grass-fed sources. Butter, bacon, full fat meats. Coconut oil is a huge, gigantic one. Coconut milk. And then on the side, you have to add in your cruciferous vegetables. That's where you get the majority, if not all, of your carbs from in a day. Is the cruciferous vegetables and the spinach, and make a lot of salads. So you put cheese, bacon, and cheese. I already said cheese, and it's olive oil on a salad, and now you have just a fucking great tasting salad. And You don't feel like you could possibly be losing weight doing this. I mean, the things that I'm eating. Last night I made elk steaks with wrapped in 6 pieces of bacon. And I'm losing weight while I'm eating that. Like how could you not like that? So really, the only hard part is for people to get away from their being slaves to the carbohydrates. It's a very liberating feeling, in my opinion, to not be a slave to the carbs. I mean, before, after a workout, like I would, you sit there, you watch my kids or something eat cookies, and I'm like just drooling over it. Like, how can I not eat this? And, just get it. I'd be arguing with my wife, like, get it the fuck out of my house. Like, I don't want to see this shit. And now, like, I don't even want it. I mean, I can, their birthday parties a few weeks ago, everybody's eating cake and ice cream. And I'm like, man, that shit's disgusting. I don't even want it. So it's a very liberating feeling just to not be a slave to that.
Wow. Yeah, there's definitely like a time frame. Like when you're away from the carbs, my wife and I, we're doing a low carb thing right now, and I was giving you a hard time, but seriously, the feeling of like your body when you don't have all of that crap in it, it's unbelievable. It really is, But I don't know. The keto diet, man, it's really tough. So I tried when I left Denver, and I was there right after UFC 203, so it was like the week after, and I think I lasted like a week on like a true keto diet, but there's so much research that you have to do. Like you said, if you don't have a cookbook, it's good luck. I mean, you have to plan those things
that's
out.
a fact. That's a fact, and it is a little bit harder with kids because I'm not sure how good it is. How good? Like, I don't think a ketogenic diet would be healthy for kids. Unless you were able. I don't know. I wouldn't really want to touch on that. I just know it's so. What I do, and I've done this for years anyway, is I call it nutritional periodization. So I change up my nutrition all the time. So, for instance, after a fight, I do eat higher fat. I just never cut out the carbs before. I always eat higher fat. And then at the initial beginning of camp, I do a low carb. To start getting the weight down to where I need it to be, and then start eating for performance, a higher carb, less protein-based meal plan. So now the only thing I've really changed is now I'm adding this ketogenic part into it. So now after a fight, I can eat this ketogenic diet and recover my brain, reduce the inflammation in my body, which I've noticed a dramatic reduction of inflammation. I tore my ankle last year. I had to pull out the Kelvin Gastelum fight, remember, because I tore a ligament in my ankle. This entire time, I haven't been able to run at all. Now, since I started the ketogenic diet about a month ago, my ankle is almost completely healed. Like it's almost all the inflammation, the arthritis, the bursitis, the tenosynovitis, all these itises that are markers of inflammation has almost completely gone away. Now I'm running. I just did 4 miles this morning, and this was something that was hugely a gigantic piece of my training camp has been missing for the past year because I've always been a huge runner. It's always helped my weight, helped my cardio, et cetera, et cetera. So. I don't want to ramble all day about it. That's what I was saying. The one thing about this diet, man, is once you get into it, like the benefits are so real and so in your face that you want to be that guy that's just rambling about it all the time.
And at the end, you get to fight Tarec Saffiedine finally.
Absolutely. With the ketogenic diet, some of the changes I've made up, I'm able to run again. I'm back in the gym. My body fat is getting back to where it should have been for the last 2 fights. Even maybe even before that. With Muscle Farm helping us out, man, we're having I'm getting all the recovery tools I need every day. It's insane. Loper, you've seen that facility. You've seen what goes on.
Oh my God, unbelievable, man. And you know what I was most surprised about is honestly, and I mean this in a positive way, but how happy you were out there. There's a little part of me that was wondering, just knowing you, I was like, man, I wonder if he's kind of over the newness of the gym. You get excited in the beginning, not just you, but anybody, But my surprise was your enthusiasm and just seeing that place. It's unbelievable, Damon.
Yeah, it wasn't the honeymoon hasn't wore off, right? That's what you're talking about, the honeymoon effect, where everything is great for a few weeks, and you're like, all right, well, here I am. No, Colorado's an amazing place. I came out here, what was it, about 2012 for the first time. And the first time I came here, I said, I'm going to live here at some point in my life. I'm going to have a cabin or a home or something there, a condo, whatever. And I made it happen, and we're happy. My wife loves it. I mean, yeah, you were here. You see the beauty of this place.
And you've been out there for a couple fights now. I mean, how much? I don't know. Like, how do you tell me? Like, you've had a couple fights out there now, but I imagine there's always a certain level of what's the word I'm looking for? Time that takes you to get comfortable with new coaches, time to get comfortable with camp training partners. I mean, obviously, I know you would never say that it was like something went wrong in the last fight or anything, but I know it does take time to acclimate to that. You know what I mean? So this will be your third fight with Muscle Farm, right? So I mean, that's, to me, it always takes like 2 or 3 fights to really kind of bring the best out of a fighter with a new camp. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it dozens of times. Yeah,
I think there is something to that. I think that there's a completely new system. I've learned over the year, close to a year that I've been here, they do things a lot differently than I have. So I brought some things to them, they brought some things to me, and together, when you put it all together, I think when the tide rises, all the ships come up. So that's exactly what we're trying to do out here, and we're working better and better all the time. Fortunately, I have these great coaches with Leister, Christian, and Elliot. That have just been phenomenal in helping me out, and I think things are just getting better all the time. So, a lot of people, what a lot of people forget too is a lot of people win fights in spite of their training, and a lot of people don't, that win fights or that lose fights, even though they had the best training. So, I've been around this long enough. I know what I need, what I want. I know how I reacted in the fights, and even though I've lost my 2 since I've been out here, I know what's going on. I see the improvements in myself, in the gym, and everything around me, the entirety of the situation, and that's how I know that it's going to be okay. So I'm coming up, whether it actually gets to shine in the fights or not is up to me. But together, we're all coming up, and that's what's important.
Yeah. This fight with Tarec was a fight that was supposed to happen, 2 years ago? It was a fight in Broomfield. You were going to headline that card in Broomfield. Funny enough, I'm in your backyard now, but you were going to fight in Broomfield, and then obviously he had to drop out of the fight, and then you ended up moving off that card and fought Johny Hendricks, if I'm not mistaken. So
you got it. That's exactly what happened. Yes.
Yeah. So now you get some. Is there? I know it sounds like a weird question because Tarec is a good fighter. I'm not going to bag on Tarec. I actually know Tarec very well. Really nice guy. But he has had a lot of injuries. He pulls out a lot of fights. Was there any? Do you get any worry? I mean, you experienced it. You were going to fight him. You pulled out due to injury.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like. I guess when you look at it, the past year maybe of his career, it seems that he's kind of figured out those problems. He's up at TriStar now, I think. So I think they probably train a little smarter. You don't see many TriStar guys pulling out of fights, that's for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my money on that. He's got all this figured out a lot better. He's probably going to be better trained than he ever has before, and we're going to be in for a war that night.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. It was a good matchup back then. Still a good matchup now.
Yeah. He's been been doing pretty good. I think Rick Story beat him last, which was a close fight too. I think Tarec definitely showed a higher skill level than Story in that fight, but just wasn't able to keep Story off of him enough. Right, Story can kind of smother guys a lot, so not necessarily with takedowns, but just enough to sway the judges for his aggression, I think. So, when you're up there with guys like that, I mean, you're a good fighter, and he's beat some really good guys. Nate Marquardt, man, that was a hell of a, that was when Marquardt was, really, at his prime too.
That was right after Marquardt knocked out Woodley. That was right after that.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
Speaking of the Muscle Farm gym out there, Matt, Neil Magny, Johny Hendricks coming up. I was kind of surprised to hear Johny Hendricks in a recent interview actually said if he loses to Neil Magny, he's going to retire.
Yeah, that was interesting, huh? I read that same thing. I feel like I feel like I was the last fight that Johnny trained hard for. I don't know. I know one of his training partners came out, or former training partners. I'm not going to mention his name, but he said, man, he said he's seen Johnny train hard for 2 fights in his life. One was GSP and one was me. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, man, Johnny's one of those guys, man. Gosh, they say success is the biggest killer of success, and it seemed like after he won the title, he just said, cool, man, I did it. Now I get to eat some, more deer steak and Budweisers and hang back. He has seemed the same since to me.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, such a high-level guy, the former champion of the world, at one point seemed unbeatable. I mean, those fights with Robbie Lawler were, instant classics. And, of course, he had a war with you. And, yeah, I mean, you're right. After that, it was kind of downhill. If you were a Hendricks fan, you're super disappointed. And, I don't want to speculate, with USADA, that's really popular now to throw on guys that aren't doing so well. But, I don't know what his personal life is like or what his medical choices are. But, you wanted to see
medical choices.
Yeah. Well, you wanted to see a guy like Johny Hendricks, a Division I absolute killer king wrestler come out and have a good career. But it seems like, for whatever reason, it's cut short.
Well, here's the thing with Johnny is also, like, I know he split with his management team a while ago, which was part of the people that trained with him. And I think 2 things that have been Johnny's biggest issues. One is obviously his weight. That has continuously haunted him, and he is obviously too small for middleweight. We know that. He's a short guy for welterweight. I mean, Matt, you tower over him at welterweight. Johnny at middleweight would be dwarfed. Could you imagine him standing next to Luke Rockhold? I mean, come on. So he's not a middleweight, so he's pretty much stuck fighting at welterweight, yet he can't get down to welterweight. So that's been problem number 1. Problem number 2 is I'm not sure who he's training with. Like, I'm not sure there are people pushing him in training every day that are making him better. Like, if I look at Muscle Farm and I look at who you're training with, Matt, you're training with Neil Magny, another top 15 welterweight. You know what I mean? You have a laundry list of guys out there who you're working with, and I'm a big believer in iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? I'm a big believer in the people around you are going to make you better. That's why I think camps like Jackson's and AKA and some of these other big gyms, American Top Team, are always so successful, is because they're always making each other better. You know what I mean? It's not just the coaching, it's also making each other better. And I wonder, because Johnny obviously has his family in Texas, and I assume he probably doesn't want to leave that or leave it for very long. But that is one of the questions I always have about Johnny is who's pushing him to get better? Who is trying to push Johnny to get better every day? And I don't know that answer.
That's a good point. So yeah, either way, Johnny's had a lot of question marks ever since he fought me. It seems like, which I think was his last fight with Team Takedown, right?
Yeah, it was.
Didn't he have some kind of weird financial sharing agreement with them, Damon?
Yeah, it was something like, I can't remember the exact percentage, but yeah, it was basically they funded him for the early part of his career, where they basically just gave him money carte blanche, like gave him money to start his career. And then when he finally cashed in and made it to the UFC or made it to the level he's at now, they would get paid back with like a certain percentage, like a bigger percentage of his purses and things like that, versus like a manager who would typically take 10%. These guys took more because that was the agreement, because they basically funded Johnny to the point where he didn't have to work as a young fighter, which most young fighters do. You have to work 40 hours a week, then go train, and then go fight, all those things. So I don't know what the percentage was, but there was some kind of deal there.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's right. Kind of like football. They do that sometimes. I know Maurice Claret was involved in something like that at one point. But
here's a question for you. Have you ever lost or thought you lost your phone? I mean, how terrible is that? Even if you found it in like 5 minutes. If you're like me, your life is on that phone. Well, guess what? Identity thieves know that too. And when you lost your phone and it winds up in the hands of an identity thief, it can be the beginning of a disaster, financially, emotionally, and even physically, that could take years to unwind. That's why you should protect yourself with Identity Guard. With Identity Guard, you get protection from the company that's been in this business for over 20 years, one that's helped protect more than 47 million people. Identity Guard continuously monitors millions of transactions and articles and sends you all the news, tools, and guidance you need to minimize your risk. Plus, if you were to become a victim of identity theft, Identity Guard's victim recovery specialist will be there to help you through the recovery process. Identity Guard even offers identity theft insurance with coverage up to $1 million. So get the identity theft protection service that's right for you. Visit Identity Guard at identityguard.com/podcast.
Yeah, man, there's so many exciting things going on around the gym out there, Matt. You know, it was so much fun to be out there. And, you know, there's so many cool faces that come through there. You and I were talking the other day. Goldberg was around. Was it at Bang's gym or was it at Muscle Farm?
Yeah, he came into Dwayne Ludwig's gym and was hitting pads. And Simon Marcus happened to be there also, who's a world-class Muay Thai fighter, was a former Lion Fight champion. And I'm not sure if he has the title now in Glory or not, but he was fighting in Glory that weekend. So there was a little bit of Instagram of them playing around a little bit. But Goldberg didn't look so bad, man. Looked pretty good for a big guy like that.
They were out in Denver doing WWE last week. That's what they were doing out there. So is
that right? Yeah. Well, yeah, and they're gonna match Lesnar up against Goldberg. You know, that's hey, listen, it's fake, but you know. You kind of wish it was real a little bit. Do you think, from what you saw, do you think Goldberg could handle Lesnar in the octagon?
I don't know about his wrestling, so that's hard to say. But his stand-up would probably take down Lesnar, I think. So if it was a Muay Thai fight, now when you add in the wrestling, everything changes for sure.
But your honest assessment is if Goldberg wanted to try, you think he could beat Brock Lesnar if he tried? I'm saying like if he legit trained for it, you think Goldberg could beat him? Based on what you saw.
In Muay Thai, I think he could. I'm not saying he would. I'm saying I think he could in Muay Thai based on the 30 seconds that I see.
I don't know if that's a compliment to Goldberg or a diss.
Well, I guess my only point is those 30 seconds or so that I've seen was way better than I expected. Like, he has some technique. He is trained. Like, that wasn't his first day in a Muay Thai gym. That's a fact. I actually, when I first seen him, because I don't really follow WWE or whatever, and I thought it was Jay Glazer. I was like, man, Jay Glazer got some good juice on him.
You thought that Goldberg was Jay Glazer?
Did you see that? Can you see the similarity now, though?
I do. Like, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I was like, damn, Jay Glazer got ripped.
I'm like, man, holy cow.
Yeah, I don't like Goldberg's chances against Lesnar in an actual fight. I don't think that would end too well for him.
No way. I mean, unless he wrestled. I don't know. Did he wrestle? Was he a wrestler?
No, he played football. He played football. He came from
Georgia.
He played football. So no real. Not that I know of, anyways. No wrestling in his background. So I know he talked about doing a Glory fight for a while. There was a rumor he was going to fight because he did commentary for a little while for Glory, I think, or some kickboxing.
He was good. Yeah, he was good at doing that. I enjoy. You know what's cool about Goldberg? He's always been one of those guys where he knew what he was all about. He's never tried to be the guy who, like he enjoys to train martial arts, but he's not the guy that's going to go and tell you that, he's ready for a fight, against a professional. He just enjoys to go train. He loves to be around the guys. You can tell that. But he's also like a classic tough guy. So, he kind of fits in gyms.
Judging by his pro wrestling work, maybe he should try out Glory because his pro wrestling is pretty bad. He's not a very good pro wrestler. He was a very popular pro wrestler, but he wasn't very. He's kind of like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was never a very good pro wrestler, but he was just hugely popular. And Goldberg's kind of the same way. He was very popular, but man, was he not good.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: the guy is cool as hell. I can tell you that much. I don't know nothing about his wrestling or anything, but he recognized me, I guess, before I even came in the door and was like, "Matt Brown, I love you." And I was like, "Hell yeah, man." I was like, I love you too, Jay Glazer.
I love you too, juiced up Jay Glazer. I want somebody to make a cartoon of that, and we got to pass that around on Twitter or something, man. We got to get the juiced up Jay Glazer cartoon.
You got to put it on the vlog channel, Loper. You're the one with the vlog channel.
That's right. Yeah, I'll hit it up, man. Look for Loper and Randy on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. We got some cool stuff. We don't have Jay Glazer on steroids, but we do have some cool UFC 203 vlogs up there and some footage of my trip to go when I went out to see Matt and Colleen out in Denver. We went to Red Rocks, Damon, to go see the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, that trip right there kind of made me laugh because when I saw the pictures on Instagram, I was like, why in the hell are Matt and Loper at Goo Goo Dolls? Like, that was such a surreal moment. But
now, of course, it was the fucking Goo Goo Dolls, and what was the other band? Collective.
Better Than Ezra. No, wait. No, Collective Souls. Yeah, Matt thought the name of the band was Collecting Souls.
So anyway, we're out there. I recognize some of their songs, though. But we're listening, dude. You got to go to Red Rock sometime if you ever come to Denver in your life. It's one of the most amazing places to watch a concert you'll ever go in your life. It's even if it's the fucking Goo Goo Dolls, it's worth it. It's cool. We just got to see a Led Zeppelin tribute band about 2 weeks ago. Me and the wife absolutely blew my fucking mind.
But I want to hear about your Goo Goo Dolls experience. Were you rocking along? Like, were you singing? Like, what's going? How did you guys end up at Goo Goo Dolls? That's my question.
Well, because that was the only show that was happening. I just, I put in.
Yeah, the week that he was out here, that was it.
Yeah.
That's when you just find something else to do, man. That's when you're just like, you know what?
Nah, man. You know what it is? It's like,
it's the venue. It's not the band.
Yes,
it's about the venue.
It's like you're on Mars, man. It's because it's one of the only venues maybe the only venue in the entire world that has its own acoustics. Like they didn't build anything into Red Rocks. It has its own acoustics, and literally when you are looking at the stage and you're like mid-pack in the crowd and you turn around, the rocks, man, you really do. You feel like you're on Mars. It's crazy.
Yeah, they carved the amphitheater out of the rocks. So they're literally, I mean, if you see pictures on, I'm sure, the internet and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, you see it.
I've heard of it before.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And when you're sitting up top at the amphitheater, behind the theater itself you can see it as far as your eyes can see. You see all the lights of Denver. You see, mountains. It's an amazing experience, man. Now, I'll tell you, the Led Zeppelin tribute band was about 10 times better than the Goo Goo Dolls.
I wish I was out there for that show. But here's the best story, Damon. So we get out there, and, I got the tickets from the record company. And what we did was we parked, and right where we parked was, it wasn't too far away from – you have to walk up this huge hill just to get to the actual amphitheater. So, like, we're, like, halfway up, and we ask a guy, hey, man, where's the Wilkout area? He goes, oh, it's that way, about a mile. So here we go. We're hucking it through like this wilderness. I mean, there's like little old ladies. Like we're pushing them aside. I mean, we have to get there. It was a mile, bro. It's absolutely insane. We got that on the vlog channel too. You guys can check that out. But it was it's kind of hilarious. If you go to Red Rocks, here's the moral of the story: bring some water.
Or go take the entrance to Will Call, not the entrance that we took.
Now, did I hear the rumor correctly that, because me and Loper were hanging out with Jamie Josta last week, or a couple weeks ago doing his podcast. Now, I heard a rumor that for the fight with Tarec Saffiedine, you're going to put the Jamie Josta song aside and you're walking out to the Goo Goo Dolls. Was that what I heard?
I don't know. That Collecting Souls was a pretty good band, too.
I was like, what? I was like, who's the lead singer? The Undertaker? Collecting Souls. I was like, what the fuck? It's the best.
Yeah, we'll see. You never know, man. Sometimes, you got to change things up. You got to keep it fresh. So it's hard to pass up the fact that I have a fucking song written by me by one of my favorite bands of all time, though.
Well, they finally let you walk out to it too. That was the other thing. Like that was that the first time at the Alamo?
Tim Means was the first time.
Was it? I thought there was another fight where they wouldn't let you walk out to it.
Yeah, I think before that they wouldn't let me walk out to it. And Tim Means that I didn't even know they were going to let me walk out to it, and I just all of a sudden, I'm standing there at the entrance to the arena about to walk out to fight Tim Means, and I hear "I Am the Immortal," and I was like, what the fuck? Hell yeah, let's do this, But yeah, so that fight and the Maya and now the Ellenberger fight, I have walked out to that song, and I'm not a real superstitious person, but I'm a little superstitious, and I lost my last two fights, so I might just have to change it up, man. And hopefully Jamie, maybe he can make a new song. I don't know. He's still my dude.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm like I said, I'm the guy who always tweets out the walkout songs. How do you think the Eminem curse started? I remember. I'm not going to say I was the first person to notice that, but I do remember at some point because I always tweet out the walkout songs. I was like, man, fighters always lose when they walk out to Eminem, and so now it's like a joke, like a curse, the Eminem curse. When you walk out to Eminem, you lose in the UFC. Like it's a real thing. Like I remember a few years ago, somebody compiled a list and said fighters who walked out to Eminem were 3-30 or some crazy stat. It was hilarious, and somebody went back and actually dug through the records to find out people's records when walking out to Eminem.
How did they compile that stat? I mean, they have to watch every UFC. No, maybe your Twitter.
Yeah, you just go back to my Twitter. I tweet out the walkout songs every time, and I mean, obviously, I don't get every single walkout song. Like when it shows on FS1 and I'm not there, I don't see the walkouts.
I always wondered. Do you use like Shazam or something while you're sitting there in the arena?
Shazam.
Yeah, I would say, I always tell people this stat. I'd say about 75% of the time I know the songs, because I worked at a record store for 7 years, so I'm like a big music person. And then when I don't get, I use either Shazam or SoundHound, the two apps on my phone, to get, because there's a lot of like the new rap stuff I don't listen to. Like if it's a Drake song, I'm not gonna get it because I fucking hate Drake. Like Drake sucks ass. Like I'll never guess a Drake song. So yeah, that one. But like, like Eminem, stuff like that, Jay-Z, like I always get those kind of hip hop songs, stuff like that. And then obviously if it's metal or rock, most of that stuff I just know. So
now, have you ever got one wrong? Have you ever like put it down and thought, man, went back and like, oh shit, that was the wrong song?
Yeah, there's been a couple of like weird remixes and like remakes. Like I tweeted out once, I remember I actually tweeted out, I think it was AWOL Nation, and it was actually Machine Gun Kelly doing a version of the AWOL Nation song, that Sail song.
Song.
And I didn't know it. Like, I just tweeted out real quick, and it was the reverse of that or something like that. So I've gotten it wrong before. Because, like I said...
Have you heard the Devil Driver version of that song?
I have.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, dude. That's so good.
Yeah, Devil Driver was just playing with Hatebreed when Loper and I saw him 2 weeks ago. It was Devil Driver and Devil You Know. I was freaking out about that because Howard Jones is, like, one of my favorite singers of all time, so...
Yeah, did you get to see the show, or were you guys backstage with Jamie the whole time?
No, we gave us passes and everything, man. We didn't get to see as much as we'd like. It was school night, but you know how that goes. But hey, you know what I do just want to just focus on for 1 second? That podcast that Damon was talking about, it's called Fight Buddies, and that's going to be out this week. So if you are listening, and it is the week of Halloween, this week, I guess it's going to be on its own channel, right, Damon? That's what Jamie was saying on iTunes.
So it's not on the Josta show?
It is.
No, it's
yeah, he's gonna release it on his channel, and then he's eventually gonna make a separate channel for that. He's gonna he's doing a podcast called Fight Buddies, and it's gonna be just all his MMA friends, like people talking MMA. So like we get to be the first show, was me and Loper on the tour bus, which was very cool, by the way. I hadn't been on a tour bus in many, many years. It was cool to see the kind of behind the scenes of that. That was really cool. So
well, it was weird, man. Damon kept bringing all these chicks on, and like, he wanted to do hard drugs, and I was like, bro, I got kids and a family, man. Come on, you're ruining my image.
It was a tour bus. I thought everyone had. I thought they just had plates of Coke out in the back.
So, and now you're saying through his regular Josta show release is where he's going to put Fight Buddies right now.
That's what I am assuming.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
we'll get a bigger audience. I like that.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Yeah, because I looked for it yesterday, but Kerry King was on there. I was like, gotta listen to that one.
He's rad too.
He's like, fuck my friends. I want to listen to Kerry King. It's like,
that's all right.
I want to listen to it because I've always heard that Kerry King is not a cool dude. Like, I've never met him, but that's the the rumor on, I don't know what, whatever metal fucking geek forum or whatever. They're like, man, Kerry King is not cool, etc. I want to check it out.
So before we got to wrap up here shortly, I want to ask a question, Matt, because your fight is coming up on December 30th. You're fighting on the card where Ronda Rousey is returning. I know you're a big Ronda Rousey fan. But I've been throwing this question out to some people, and I've been doing it kind of anonymous, and we're actually working on a story for this. I'm kind of blowing my lead by talking about it on the podcast. But I want to get your opinion, because you're about to fight on the card with Ronda Rousey. I'm curious, from a fighter perspective, and again, none of this may even matter to you. I don't know. I'm just talking about like attention and people like curiosity, whatever. If you had a choice to fight on the card headlined by Ronda Rousey or headlined by Conor McGregor, which one would you choose? If you could choose, which one would you rather be a part of?
Probably Conor. Just because I just, I'm a fan of Conor's, to a certain extent, and is when you I assume you're probably asking from the perspective of getting eyes on me or exposure or whatever like that, and I don't think about that at all. I mean, that's really irrelevant to the way that I would view that. So when I view it, I think of who do I respect more as a fighter, and I don't really have a lot of respect for Ronda, to be honest. I mean, she's done some great things for women's MMA, and I respect that, and she got it in the UFC, and I respect that, but her attitude I just don't respect. So she's probably not going to change that. So
it will be interesting to see if she does change a little bit as she's coming back. I think that there is something to her being champion for so long, and I think that she she obviously has heard over the years what the right thing to do and what the wrong thing to do is, and one's got to wonder if it's gonna all come into play as she comes back. Can she get it all together and win the hearts back of America, so to speak? Because I think her hardcore fan base never went anywhere. I kind of look at her case from like I don't know, from understanding eyes. And I'm really, really interested to see if she can pull it together and be the Ronda Rousey she was. Because, I mean, this is no easy fight that she's walking back into.
Well, I would disagree about her hardcore fan base. I would lean towards that more of those probably left than the casuals who are just, fans of Ronda no matter what because she's Ronda Rousey and she was on the fucking Ellen show. No, probably, I would bet that she probably turned off some of her hardcore fans, and for me, I mean, I just look at it different. I look at what's your, what are you in this sport for? What's your motivation? And when you look at someone like her that one loss destroys you like that. And I mean, we went over this whole thing about, the talking about suicide. My kids watch that shit. I don't want to hear it talking about that crap, when my kids are watching that show. But, when you let one loss do that to you, what it's done to her, I don't respect that because that means your motivation is different than it should be. It's not pure. It's not, it's just not, what I would call satisfactory. I mean, it's just, I try not to surround myself with people that are motivated by those external factors like that. It's all about good.
Well, how some fighters are like how you react to a loss, kind of defines you. And I'm not saying that
yes.
I'm not judging Ronda because she wanted to take time off after a loss. Like when you get head kicked, knocked out like that, I'm not an advocate saying she shouldn't have taken time off because yes, you should allow your brain to heal. You know what I mean? Don't rush back into it. But I look at a guy like Conor when he lost to Diaz, dude, from all the stories I've heard and from talking to Conor and the people close to Conor, the moment he lost to Nate Diaz, he was obsessed with getting back in there and beating him. And he spent every waking moment of every waking day to get back in there and prove himself to beat Nate Diaz. And I think that, I know I'm not talking about the health aspect. I'm taking that out of it because obviously you got to be careful with your head and the brain injuries and things like that. But I'm quite sure every fight you've ever had, Matt, every time you've lost, you wanted to get right back in there and be like, fuck this, I'm going to win. You know what I mean? That's the attitude. And I think that's what we didn't see out of Ronda. You know what I mean? We didn't see that. We didn't see that fire. We didn't see that, determination out of her right away. Even if she said, I'm not going to come back for a year, but when I come back, I'm going to fuck up Holly Holm. We didn't hear any of that. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I think you're right. Now, my question is, do you think that she learned from that, and do you think that she will take that attitude in the future?
I don't. Again, it's because of, what are you in this for? What's your motivation? And I don't see hers as being pure. Conor's, Conor is nothing special in that regard. Every single time a fighter loses, that's all you can think about for a while. I mean, just, 99% of us don't get the rematch, so we have to move on in other ways, right? But
yeah, for sure.
He was able to get the rematch, so he was allowed to take that obsession and work towards it. Ronda just, again, I mean, I just don't respect it. I mean, she just didn't show anything like that. I mean, it was, I thought she was going to quit. I'm surprised if she came back. She proved me wrong on that, I guess. So, more power to her. Now we're going to, and remember I said that before, right after she lost to Holly, we did a podcast and I said, now we're going to find out who Ronda really is. And we found out it's been almost a year. Has it been a year? I mean, I don't know.
It's been exactly a year in November. November 15th will be exactly 1
year.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, we found out who she is. She's a quitter. And that's not the type of person that I respect. It's not the type of person that I want my kids to be looking up to, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on through all that stuff. The fact is, that's not the type of person that I want to be around or have be. I don't want her energy around my energy, basically.
You're gonna make for if she listens to this podcast, it's gonna make for a really awkward dressing room if you have to share a locker with her at UFC 207.
Well, I guarantee I won't have to share a locker room with her. But.
Yeah, it will be really interesting because Colleen will be in there like WTF, like what?
Yeah, right. But I'll probably see her. Maybe at some point I'll see her. But whatever. I mean, what's she gonna do? Beat me up? I mean, it's all right.
I love that. I love that you speak your mind. It doesn't matter. You speak your mind. I like that.
Yeah, and I only so that's one of the difficult things about doing the shows. When you talk about things like that is because I respond to questions. A lot of things I don't necessarily say in public, but then when I'm asked, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this is how I feel. So you kind of gotta draw there's a fine balance there. You gotta kind of tread the line there.
Yeah. Well, I know you said in the past, we talked about Conor too, because I know Cowboy, I'm sure you saw Cowboy said none of the fighters actually like Conor, and I don't think that's true. I think there are fighters who like Conor. I know you actually, I think you said you did talk to Conor backstage at that one presser you did with him, right? That one Go Big presser or whatever?
Actually, no, I've actually spoken to him a couple of times. So I fought on the same card when he fought Max Holloway, and we were both backstage. He was cool. I mean, I didn't know who he was. I didn't realize he was, supposed to be the next star or anything. And of course, Holloway I think that was his debut fight, maybe. So one of his first fights. So we didn't know who he was either. So we didn't know how good of a win that really was for Conor. But yeah, so and then the Go Big presser, I talked to him just briefly. He had a lot going on, and I think he had to. It was after the presser, so he kind of had to dip out before he got jumped by like 20 fighters. So.
Yeah. You know what? Good. Like I said, man, I just, like I said, I like Conor. I think there are fighters who like Conor, and you can't help but respect Conor. You may not like him, but you can't help but respect the guy for what he does and the eyeballs he brings to the sport. Like I said, he's, like I said, I understand if you don't like him from a fight aspect, you want to beat the guy, you want to fight the guy. I get that. If you're Jose Aldo, you're Eddie Alvarez or whoever, I totally get that. But especially the way he talks smack on everybody, I totally understand that. But like at the end of the day, you can't help but respect the guy as far as what he does and the eyeballs he brings to the sport.
Yeah, and I don't look at I don't even look at that part of it. The eyeballs they bring to the sport. I mean. I think there's enough eyeballs on the sport where this sport can be grown organically. The people like Conor are just accelerating the growth. I think those people would eventually come anyway. But who am I to say? I mean, I'm not a businessman like that. But what I do respect out of Conor is what I'm getting at is he is a martial artist. He is a true martial artist, right? That's. I think, he probably, I'm going to guess, I don't know for a fact, but he probably trains humbly, trains hard. He obviously puts in the work. I mean, those are the things I respect. I mean, that's what I believe, that's what life is all about. It's not about, being rich and famous. So, that's what I respect him for personally.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, we got to wrap this up. I know you got another interview coming up, Matt, and I got an interview myself. Let's do this again. We got away from the podcast for a long time. People were like thinking we're pissed at each other. Like, are you and Matt not talking anymore? Are you and Loper not talking? I was like, no. I hang out with Loper all the time, and Matt, like, it's still. I think I've texted with you numerous times. So I was like, people are always like, are you guys mad at each other? Like, would you have a falling out? And I was like, yeah. Loper and Matt got into a fight one day at the gym, and like, it was really nasty, and I had to break it up. And like, yeah, so.
I'm sick of Loper's Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want the world to know this. All right, listen, guys, this has been a lot of fun, man. People can hit me up at Jeremy Loper. I love talking to you guys, and it's just awesome to see how much the fight game continues to grow. It's so much fun to watch. I'm excited about Matt's next fight coming up. We got MSG in a couple of weeks. Good to talk to you guys, man.
All right, boys. Yeah, well, we'll awesome. Do this. We'll do this again soon. This will not be the last time we get back together for this podcast because I miss doing it. Now that we're back together, I'm like, damn it, this is too much fun to not do this again.
Yeah, we got to keep it up, man. I don't mind doing it anytime. Just so you know, got to focus on those fights, man. That's how I bring put the bacon and butter on my table.
I was gonna say, go get that bacon and butter. That's how you gotta get it.
That ketogenic diet's expensive.
All right, boys. Well, we will talk soon, and thanks for doing the podcast today.
All right, later, fellas.
All right, later.
Later, guys. Later, guys. Later, guys. Later, guys. Later, guys. Later, guys.